Alright, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the max ice build you can currently have right now in Wizard101 for the whole test run update. Because I know a lot of people are going to be questioning like what's the best setup I can use right now for the whole update. And honestly, I'm going to cover it as best I can and give you guys my thoughts and opinions on everything. So if you have any questions with the whole build and stuff like that, let me know in the comments down below. But honestly, if you want a faster response, best bet is to join the Discord and ask me in there. So let's get into the whole ice build that we currently have. This is my energy set that I currently have equipped, but here we have the whole ice build, of course. Now, if we look at the stats, I have 201 damage, decent res, 36 accuracy, which is literally enough, 51 pierce, and perfect pips. Now, the reason why my damage is like 201, but that's mainly because I want to have at least 50 pierce. If I don't have like at least 50 pierce, I feel like the build is kind of or at least close to 50. And obviously, if I take off a pierce jewel or something like that, or even like a talent, I feel like it's not justified enough. So I am personally having 51 pierce with 201 damage. I feel like that's fine, and ice is already tanky as it is, so it's not like I'm gonna die. It's just trying to catch up in the fight for like the most part. So let's get into the actual like pieces of gear. The hat, I would use the Reaver hood. There's so many pieces of gears now, like with templates and everything like that, like I've talked about in my other video. There's so many pieces of gear. But still to this day, I'm just going to be using Reaver at the moment. If you want to just like use some type of combination of pad gear or just gear from like gold key bosses, like the Mushu one or the Avalon one, go for it. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, can I just use this? Can I use that? If you get like relatively decent stats, that's all that matters, right? But this is just stats that I personally prefer and I would like to use. So Reaver hood, you can go farm that from Malice. And then the sockets, I'm gonna specify this in all my videos that I'm uploading regarding the gear setups. Rock whatever sockets you guys want. You do not have to use them just because I'm using them. It's probably because I'm just testing stuff, or I'm just like using certain ones for specific reasons. It's not because of dual schooling or anything like that. Further down the line, if I am going to be making dual schooling videos or anything like that, I will make setups dedicated for that. So don't worry too much about the sockets. The shield sockets though, like you can put like extra resist to a certain school if you want. If you want crit block, you can do that. Doesn't really matter what you do right here. Just pick whatever you like. Honestly, pick whatever you like. But main piece is that you need to have the Reaver hood. Now the robe, I'm using the raid robe from the Polaris raid. Now, if you do not have this, it's not the end of the world. You can use nullity robe if you want from the void raid. Now, if you don't want to do the void raid, if you're like, okay, I don't want to do the Polaris raid, I don't want to do the void raid, what's my next best option? You can honestly use I believe it's the library robe from the library gauntlet. You can open that from packs too. There, you can, if you know, at that point, like if you want to open packs, you can. But honestly, if you want to farm a decent robe, just use the library gauntlet robe. It's pretty solid. Like if I didn't do raids or anything like that, that would most likely be my option, and that's literally what I use on my alt accounts, where I just don't want to do raids on them because it's too much work farming for multiple accounts. I honestly just use the library gauntlet robe. It's not hard to farm. It's pretty easy to get. So that would be your best bet if you don't want to do raids. It's pretty easy to farm. Get a group together. You could even ask in the Discord too if you need people. And surely somebody will have the gauntlet. But that would be like your next best option. And then like I said, with the pins, rock whatever. It's nice for like the accuracy if you're just not doing any type of dual schooling or anything like that. I like to have my accuracy on like either like balance, or if I would do fire. I do fire just because whenever I swap to my Scald Incendiate setups, and it gives me enough accuracy so I don't have to worry too much. But if you don't want to put fire, balance is your next bet, because of the fact is when you go to your spells and you want to stack on some elemental blades or Ellie traps, I know that they're 100%, but if you do have a mantle on them, you're more likely to not fizzle. So it's just like that extra safety net that I have that for. You can put death if you want to, if you're going to be like, oh, I don't want to fizzle my feints, go for it. It does have 100% accuracy like I said, but it's just for the in case like There's just for a specific reason of you having a mantle on you or any type of minus accuracy on you. That's the only reason. So if you want to put bounce, put bounce. If you want to put death, you can put death. Put fire, you can put fire. Just personal preference at the end of the day. So keep that in mind. Boots, we're going to be having Reaver, of course. It's just solid gear. It's honestly really solid gear all around. You can use other pieces of gears from like gold key bosses and stuff, like I said, but still, I'm just going to be using Reaver boots. I personally like them. They're just overall really good stat stick, and yeah, and honestly, all the item cards that you get from like the Reaver setup are nice too. Specifically the boots, I guess, because you get that ice trap, but it's very situational on how or when you're going to be using this. So still really good stats as a whole. Now the wand, you want to get the Shababa wand. Now, do you have to have the health socketed on? No. Now you can literally go to the vendor right here for bingo, and you can redeem yourself some different jewels. Personally, what I would do is you can either put on a balance feint if you want to have additional feint stackability if you're doing some solo fights, or just with some randoms. You just want to have extra feints for killing a boss, go for it. Balance feint would be nice to have. Or another option, which honestly is universally just better, is get yourself a potent trap and get yourself a sharpened blade. You can put these on 2 different pieces, and literally it's an instant replace to Dragoon boots. There's no point of carrying Dragoon boots at all in your inventory when you can literally just socket these on any piece of gear, and you have more stackability. So because if you didn't know, if you do have sharpened blade and you do have item card sharpened blade, so if you sharpen blade a ice blade and you item card sharpened blade a ice blade, they stack. So it's good for stackability purposes. So I would still 100%, if you don't want to go farm health jewels, or if you don't want to buy them from the vendor over here, just buy yourself some tier sockets that give sharpened blade and potent trap. But when it comes to the wand, what do you do if you don't have the Shababa wand? It's in the packs. It's in the Floormancer pack at the moment, I believe. Or not the Floormancer, it's in the Fairy pack, I mean. Not bad. If you want to open packs, Fairy pack, it's in there. If you don't want to open packs, just use Reaver wand. It's not the end of the world. It's a very, like, it's only for, like, very specific niches where I would be like, okay, this is better, this is outright better. But, like, even if we go to the vendor and we go to bingo and we compare the ice one, for example, I know people are going to be asking about it. Where is it? Where's the ice one specifically? I like skipped over it, didn't I? Right here. If we go to Reaver, you can see that it's not that big of a difference, really, right? You really just get 1 extra pierce. That's it. Now you can see on the comparison, you'll probably be like, okay, well, you do get more pip conserve. You do lose school crit for universal. That's, guys, it's still the same. So the only real thing, like I said, that's changing from here is that you do get 1% extra pierce, and you do get better item cards, I'd say. If you don't already have these maxed out, honestly, the moon trap is better for me personally. So overall, Shababa one is better, and literally the equivalent to this is just opening the fairy pack. It's the same exact wand, just with different item cards, I believe. But I could be wrong about that, but I'm confident on the stat portion is exactly the same. But yeah, you do not have to put health if you don't want to. You can put on potent trap, sharpened blade, balance feint, any of those things. So that's what I would do for the wand. And then the theme, Reaver, definitely go farm this. And on this setup, I do have pierce socketed on. If you want to, like I said, you can put on damage jewels, right? If you really want to, if you don't mind dropping 12 pierce, if you just want to go full out burst damage, go for it. You can get yourself another, like, what is it? I think it's like they give like 9% or something like that. I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have my other setup on me, but I think they give like 9% or something like that. Yeah, right here. So like the jewels will give you 9% of each. So if you really want extra damage, go for it. But honestly, I think around 50 pierce is what you should be aiming for on your setup, and then the rest can go towards damage, and then you'll be fine. But yeah, I would put pierce, and then of course get yourself some health jewels and socket them on. And if you don't want to put 145 health jewels on the tier sockets, at least, definitely put on some item cards, put on sharpened blade, put on potent trap, because Dragoon boots just completely got power crept, and it's just better to have either health or just extra item cards. It's realistically up to you as a player. And then the amulet, I use Hun Hao. You don't have to use Hun Hao. I know like there is some raid pieces in here, but it's just what the best setup is and what I would use. So I do have to include that. But you can literally just use, if you don't have Hun Hao, use Dream Reaver. The main thing is that you lose some extra resist, and I believe you do gain more block. Now I know the Reaver one gives you an extra blade, but honestly, with how, like, if you were to sharpen, if you were to put a sharpen blade item card on like your tier socket, that kind of blade is just not really needed because you gave yourself a sharp blade. Now I would do that, but it's just I prefer the extra health for most times. Most times I don't need as many buffs for killing enemies for like soloing purposes, so I don't really have to worry too much about that. But if you do want to use this, there's no harm. Realistically, there's no harm. Just get the same sockets and you'll be fine. So I would use either Hun Hao. You can use Shabalba too. Shabalba is just gonna have different item cards, same rough stats. But overall, the best I personally use Hun Hao. But you can use Reaver if you don't do raids and if you don't want to open packs, because Hun Hao is from the Florimancer pack, I believe, if you want to open the pack. But if you want to farm the raid, of course, you would have to defeat Hun Hao and go farm that. And then, yeah, if you don't want to do raids or packs, honestly, just use Reaver. It's just like a really good staple, right? It's overall just fine. And then if we go to our ring on our character real quick, we do have the Reaver ring, of course, with Pierce socketed on. The sockets are always going to be different depending on the build, so keep that in mind if you do watch the other build videos. Definitely the Pierce and the damage sockets are going to be like different depending on the class or the school, I mean. So I've been playing way too much Pirate recently, so I've been saying class and stuff, but yeah. And then if we move on to the pet, I am using the set bonus, and honestly this is pretty decent for ice just because you do get an X amount of pip Hailhound. Of course it's going to be banned in advanced content and stuff, but still it's a really good spell just to have on you. But I'm mainly specifically using it for the set bonus, because if you do have the mount equipped with the set bonus, you do get extra 5 damage. But that's where all this like 201 damage comes from, and the Pierce, because since I can sacrifice some damage, I can go for another Pierce socket just so I can have 51 Pierce. Now on the pet, you can even like drop the 2% Pierce and give yourself another damage challenge if you really want to. You can put on a reinforce item card if you want to as well. There's so many different ways you can take the pet, but overall I think the talents you want on your pet is this. Now if you don't want to have Pierce at all in your pet, overall just a solid pet around is just having these 4 talents and putting on Proof and Defy. It's never gonna go wrong. Triple doubles is what people call it, and just having triple damage and double resist is never gonna go wrong. You'll get additional like what, 15 resist, so you can stack that on and you can get some really high resist. But I just don't need the resist with how the game's going right now. Now of course if this was advanced content, separate topic, but for casual play I don't really need it as much right now. At least at max level. When you're questing and stuff like that, like as a low level, double resistance is so goated, but it's still goated no matter what. But personally, on my pet, I'm gonna be having double Pierce with the set bonus. Now if you don't have the set bonus mount, the Stompy Bronto with the pet, you can honestly just switch your mount to a Pierce mount, any mount that gives any sort of damage, because there's so many at this point. Just anything along those lines. And then what you can do, since you don't really need the set bonus with this pet, is you can change this pet body to literally anything that you like. You can go find a pet that gives you a blade. There's so many pets now that gives blades, traps. You can even use auras, I guess, if you want to, but any pet that has a blade on it realistically is fine, and it would kind of complement the build as a whole too if you want the extra item card. But you can even use a sharpened blade pet too if you really want to and have more stackability, I guess. But I think those are like your best options. Any pet that has a blade, you can even use a sharpened blade pet, and then there's a bunch of other options. But since I have the set bonus, I have to use this pet till they do something about with this whole set bonus situation where I don't have to use the set bonus anymore and we can get like jewels on mounts or something like that, right? So there's that. And then the deck, I use the Shabalba deck. I've just preferred it with the overall stat stick. And do you have to use this? Not really. You can honestly just, like I said, go get your Reaver deck. It's not too bad. Like right here, it's very subtle differences. You can see I lose a little bit, even right here. I lose a little bit of health, but I gain block. I just want the extra health. I'm not really worried about crit and block too much in regular PvE. Not an issue I have. So literally, it's not the end of the world. If you want to go farm this for the extra 48 HP, go for it. But just use Reaver if you're a casual player. I wouldn't sweat it too much. But yeah, you can. There's other decks too that give circle sockets. There's I believe the Mushu deck that you get from the Gold Key Boss and the Avalon Key Boss give a circle socket. I could be wrong about that, but you can literally use those and just socket that on, or just use the Reaver deck. Or if you want this specific deck, like I said, you can open the pack. If you want Shabalba items, you would open packs for the Fairy pack, and if you want Hunhow items, you open the Florimancer pack. It's just a different name. It's the same stats, just different item cards. But honestly, save your money and just use Reaver. Nothing's gonna kill you. So there's that. So those are all the setups I use, or like the whole build essentially as a whole of what I have on. And just pay attention to the sockets, of course. And for the tier sockets, like I said, just use Potent Trap, use Balance Feint, use Sharpen Blade. You don't need the health. You already have such a high health pool on like every character at max. So if you want to, and if you don't want to, like if you do want to get health, don't farm it. It's a very tedious process. You can just go over here and get yourself 145s and call it a day. But if you want to have a min max, this is just something I use, right? It's like obviously I don't even have the 155 jewels on all these characters, because it's terrible to farm, right? We're never gonna get more tier sockets that have more health on them, because how they moved is now health is going on square jewels and not tier sockets anymore. So that's why it's quote unquote legacy. But that is it for the video. If you have any questions, like I said, ping me in the Discord, ask any questions. Can I use this? Can I use that? You can realistically use anything you want, but this is just what I prefer as a player. You're more than welcome to copy my build and do exactly this, but it's realistically, like I said, it's just up to you. Do whatever you feel like. If you want to have like slight damage increases and more damage instead of pierce or extra health, resist, it's just up to the player at the end of the day. So that's the one good thing I like about endgame right now on Wiz, is you choose what you feel like right now. It's not, it's just personal preference. So that is it. Leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Any questions, like I said, join Discord or let me know in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.